Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Welcome to another episode of Armchair Keepers of Arcane Secrets. I'm host number one. Well, I'm a
He said it
host.
right. Number one host,
Matt Ryan. I am joined by my buddy
Bob Geis. Number
and,
two.
and here we are. We've taken a little break, and we're sorry we didn't have an episode for you last week. We weren't on holiday, Bob.
No, we were working.
We were bringing the love.
We were
bringing the love to new and old friends at GaryCon in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin.
It was a fantastic time.
It was a great time.
Fantastic time.
Bob, why don't you give me one or two highlights of the show?
Ran 18 one-hour demos for new players. Not me personally, but for the crew, right? I ran 3 or 4 of them. Love that experience. We're planning to repeat it at Gamehole Con come this fall.
18 one-hour demos.
Yes. People got the taste for Call of Cthulhu. Hopefully, some of them are now converts to Call of Cthulhu. They scampered over and got their little starter kits, and they're home. They're so excited. I had this great experience.
It's very true. It's very true. It's very true. And I worked the booth. I spent a lot of time in the Chaosium booth in the vendor hall, and more than once I had excited people come up and say they just played in a 1-hour You Too Can Cthulhu game, and they bought the starter box. And we sell a very affordable Call of Cthulhu starter box, and it makes a lot of people happy.
Fantastic. Music to my ears.
Well done. So we hung out at GaryCon. We got to have a couple meals together. I had the worst fish dinner of my life.
My recommendation.
Your recommendation. And Bob, on the flight back, because from Lake Geneva, Rick Meintz and I drove the product from Lake Geneva to Ann Arbor. And then the next day I took a plane from Detroit to my hometown here in Ithaca, New York. And on that flight, I sat next to a woman who's coming from somewhere in Wisconsin, but knew Lake Geneva. And we were chatting, and I said I had the worst fish dinner of my life. And she named the restaurant.
We will not be going there again.
No, we won't. And we're professionals, so we will not name that restaurant. And we wish them all the luck, but maybe they could try some better
fish.
Anyways, here we are. We are returning to our in-person Masks of Nyarlathotep game. And Bob, let the viewers know, what do you do? How do you get back in the ring after you've taken a little break from playing? We've had a 3-week break. How do you get your juice back going?
Oh, hey, I'm thrilled because I'm going to be playing tomorrow night and a week after again, right? So I'm going to be double dipping 2 weeks in a row to try to get caught up to my New York compatriots. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
You're going to pass us. You're going to pass us. Just to
I don't think so.
Let's remind folks where we are. We have finished New York, but we haven't dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's. We know we're going to England next. We're going to London next, but we still have a little puttering to do in New York. We've got some wounds that need to heal. We've got some psychoanalysts and some therapists that need to be visited. And then we need to take an ocean cruise. Where's the Indy Team?
So the Indy Team, we're in New York. And so this is going to seg into a topic I wanted to talk about, which is the cult leaders, right? So again, look at this. You see this? Have I shown you this, Matt?
Hold that up to the camera.
This little journal here is what I'm keeping my notes in for my Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign. You too can own this if you go to the Chaosium Redbubble page and order this journal, which is exactly what I did, right? So I'm keeping my little notes in here, and here is the notes that I did not take an update from the last session. Mm-hmm. But in any case,
is note number one, treat Matt Ryan to the worst fish dinner of his life?
That's right. That's right. Sorry about that. Pizza next time. Trust me, it'll be better. Okay, so they were right there getting off. So the party had split. Right, our doctor was on his way to the medical board, while the other people were returning, going on a trolley. Right, and the people on the trolley had just seen these 3 characters walking up to the lone doctor, and they were concerned, so they jumped off the trolley to help with that situation. That's where we're going to pick up. It was ended on a cliffhanger. So there's going to be a little bit of a confrontation there. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do. There may be some switchblade action if rolls are made poorly, right? But it could just be it'll be a confrontation sort of a deal. I don't want it to get too ugly, but I do want to try to introduce the New York cult leader to the players, right? And so
Makunga is his name.
yes,
How do you pronounce
yes,
his name?
yeah, that's right. I'm going to say Makunga, right? Sure. So
I've
I
got
want
to interject. I've got to interject a quick question. Are you going to start right out with a quick little combat?
Yeah, I am. It's going to be a
right now. Okay, so at the
I would say a
dice.
confrontation, maybe not a combat.
All right, so I want to talk about combat. I want to talk about initiative order at the Geis table, and I want to know how you do it.
Straight up, order of dexterity.
Okay.
Rules as written.
Rules as written, order of dexterity.
Yep. Except for guns.
I used to do it that way. I'm changing.
Okay.
Because rules as written, I've got like 13 people playing. Now, I don't, but it sometimes feels like that. When you go in dex order, I'm always going like here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then here, then here. And for me, it's quicker to just go around the table.
Have them sit in dex order.
Sit in dex order?
Yeah.
I don't like to tell people where to sit. What kind of world are we living in?
You're living in Matt Ryan's world, and you tell him where to sit.
Here, you know what I'm going to do? And I think this is an optional rule. So this is still, I think, rules as written.
Okay.
It might be written in this lovely volume here.
Okay.
The Pulp Cthulhu book. I have everybody go around the table and they make a dexterity roll. And whoever including myself as the keeper, whoever makes the best dexterity roll starts the combat, and we go around the table from there.
That's not going to help you. It's still going to be confusing. It'll just be differently confusing.
It's not going to be confusing because then it's just like a game.
It is like a game, but I mean, so I'm just saying it's another rule, right? It's another rule that they'll make.
Another rule that they'll make, and then we just go around. Okay, enough digression. You want to talk about the cult leaders?
I do. Okay, so I was reading. I'm reading Shanghai now, reviewing Shanghai.
Reviewing Shanghai, yes.
And I did run into real quick on Shanghai the mystery of the cult leader's name, right? And so remember, I was talking to you at GaryCon. Did they rename Ho Fang? And so, or Ho Fong, right?
You were not talking to me.
I was talking about this to maybe no one.
It might have been my stunt double because I often go to conventions with a stunt double.
As you should, as a body double in case you're attacked, right?
In case I'm attacked.
By a cultist.
That's right.
Oh, okay, so I swear I had this conversation with somebody. I'm embarrassed to say I have no idea who it was. I thought it was you. But in any case, so I was reading this and it says it's Ho Fong. It's Ho Fong, isn't it? In the new book, it's Ho Fang, right?
I think it's Ho Fong Fang. It might be.
It's Ho Fang, Fang, in the new book. All right, so I went back to my old, which it's up there, the third edition, the third edition. So to solve this mystery, and in the book that was no help because he is literally referred to as Ho Fung in one area and Ho Fong in another, and now we have Ho Fang. It's called to do what you want him to call him, right? It's your choice.
Well, but it's different styles of play. It's for different styles of play
or different styles of editing.
I might go with Ho Fing. Is there a Ho Fing?
There is now. We all just know he's a hoe.
Oh, bump. All right, stop. All right.
But real quick.
Okay, back this up. You're reviewing you're talking about the cult leaders.
So Ho Fang, all right, Edward Gavigan, and Omar Shakti, right? The three bigs. Those dudes are all the same dude. They're all the same dude. They're all refined cult leaders who have it all together and are, are kingpins of their space, right? They're the same dudes.
Kingpins of their space. And they're different. Yeah. Now, why doesn't Makunga fit into that slot?
Well, because again, I'm going to work very hard to make sure he doesn't, right? And then I'm going to have to work hard to differentiate these three indistinguishable dudes who are the same dude, right? So we'll need to make sure that we do that a little bit differently because they're all kingpins, and I want it to be a little bit different. Otherwise, they'll be one note, right? So we'll have to switch that up a little bit.
Have you had thoughts on that? Have you had thoughts on how to make them distinctive?
Nope, I literally thought about it as I was making breakfast this morning. So not a deep dive there yet, but I'm working on it. I got Makunga down first, so he's going to be again, as I've talked about with New York. I want him to be very visceral, right? He's in your face. He's not subtle, and also everything. If you think about it, everything is his fault. Everything is his fault in terms of this campaign, because if he had not killed Jackson Elias, there's a good chance it would have gone differently, right? One's if he had just kidnapped Jackson Elias and dumped him off the, into the Hudson River, right? Where nobody would have found him, right? It would have been a different thing, but instead it's explosive, violent sort of a thing. And now the players are invested because they crave vengeance for Jackson Elias's death. It says so in the book.
It says so in the book. You've thought quite a bit about this. Now, I like how savage New York is.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I'm a New Yorker. So I like that New York is that savage.
Yep.
But you've raised a point I haven't even thought about. My group is just going to England.
Mm-hmm.
I could say that I'm reviewing the English chapter, but I'm really reading it for the first time.
Reviewing, reading, it's all the same. You're reviewing it for the first time.
So my dilemma, if it is a dilemma, is I think that knowing my players, I think they're going to land however they land. They're going to head straight to the Penhew Foundation, and they're going to immediately spill the guts to Gavin MacLeod, whatever his name is, Edward Gavigan.
Yes.
They're going to immediately spill the beans.
Yep.
Immediately.
Yep.
So I've got to sort of, I'm trying to think of ways to warn them to be cautious, more cautious than they were in New York.
Yeah.
And again, Bob, I mean, we do a lot of shilling on this show, if we could call what we do a show, but there's some fantastic HPL Historic Society props that go with this chapter.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Newspaper printings and whatnot, newspapers with photos and whatnot.
This is awesome.
Fantastic
awesome stuff.
Unfortunately, a lot of those newspaper clippings lead to the side adventures, neither of which I'm going to run.
Right. And you're talking about the London side adventures. Yeah.
The London side adventures, not because there's anything wrong with them. In fact, I've got a little side group that we're doing things with, and I might run those for that side group.
Great idea.
Without any intro, without anything. The side group is a pulp game. There's a werewolf side adventure. I might just throw them into the werewolf side adventure.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I would do it.
The nice thing about Pulp Cthulhu is you don't have to have a lot of explanation for why they're doing what they're doing.
Right.
Or how they got there. Just boom. This is what's
great idea. I love it.
So I might do that. Here, I got to go back to our show notes, folks.
Yeah, our show notes. Right. We don't want to get too far off.
We have show notes. Look, and I write down the title of the podcast so that I can say it when the damn thing starts. I didn't start a timer though, Bob, so we're not that professional. No idea how deep in we are.
No idea.
I know we're past the we can swear point though. So if you've got,
you think so?
Oh, I know we are. If you've got a juicy expletive, you can just drop it. Okay, so
nice.
So
nice.
We've hit our show notes. Glorious return.
Yep.
And cult leaders. Now,
okay, so what I'm planning on doing is keeping up the violence level in New York. Getting some violence going with they're inevitably going to break into the Juju house. That's going to happen. They've already talked about it.
How many times? It's just a question of how many times they're going to break.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm hoping to get to that. I'm hoping that they go in and if they play their cards right and get in when nobody's there, right? And then if Makunda, who is the cult leader there, he could intercept them there with a smaller crew, so you wouldn't have the whole ceremony thing. I really like that idea, right? So they could have a violent confrontation there with the cult leader, but not the whole cult, right? Because there's so many opportunities for them to get a cult situation going later in the game.
There's better, weirder ceremonies
Yeah, absolutely.
than the one that's in
Absolutely.
the basement. The one that's in the basement, there's nothing wrong with it. And the face flesh tube or whatever that thing in the pit is,
Yes.
that's pretty cool. My players, as you recall, my players saw it and fled. My team does a lot of fleeing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. Again, this is the first, the first episode of violence, right? Where the cult has acted, proactively against the players. Is what I'm going to be hitting off my session with. So we'll see how they behave.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
it's going to
interrupted.
be an
Continue.
opportunity for the cult leaders, or for them to see the cult leader and be a brief sort of a thing, only if they're slow to get to the doctor, where it's a 3-on-1 on the doctor, but it would be 5-3 if
Yeah.
if the rest of the players intervene, at which point the cult will beat feet, right? But they'll get a good eyeball look at Makunda, and he will be then a character. Then they will say, who is this guy? Why is he doing this, right? So that's what I'm hoping to do.
Is Makanga one of the 3 that are intercepted?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So essentially, there's 2 coming this way.
Okay, Bob.
And there's 1 coming this way.
Question at your table. Dice roll funky.
Yep.
What if somebody pulls out a pistol, shoots at Makanga, gets an extreme success, and drops him?
Maybe he wasn't the cult leader then. I don't know. I don't anticipate that happening, but you're right. Crazy things can go down. But we'll see. Yeah, I want it to be a very, very brief encounter. With more of an introduction to the villain than the villain's demise. So we'll see. But again, who knows how things shake out.
I like it. I like it a lot. And my one thought is that switchblades seem subtle.
Yep.
Machetes seem on point.
Yeah. I mean, well, on the nose, I would say.
What if your little cultists at the last minute pulled machetes out of their jackets?
Well, maybe they have machetes, and if that they can use the machetes if things get real, right? Again, so my plan is they're just going to walk up to the
machete. Drop machete. It would also link it back to Jackson Elias. They run away and drop a machete.
Yeah.
Or a whatever it's called, pranga, whatever it's called.
Yeah. The panga. Yeah. Well, again, I just wanted to walk up and perforate the doctor if they have an opportunity, but I doubt that they'll have the opportunity because the other players are rushing to the aid of the doctor. And again, what'll happen is the way I kind of see this playing out. Things could be different. They'll, half the party will be, the bad guys will be coming this way towards the doctor. The other bad guy will be coming up behind the doctor. The PCs are running up behind him. There will be some sort of no from the cultists when they see the other people running up. And then everybody will just kind of look at them. They'll look at them and they'll get eyes on them and then they'll walk away. And then it's like, what are you guys doing?
Well, and that's funny because I did the same sort of thing. There's another speakeasy mentioned, Maybelline's.
Yeah.
And that's where Makanga hangs out.
Yeah.
And my group went to Maybelline's, to have a cocktail. And and Makanga made eye contact with all of them, sort of
clocking. And that's a great idea.
Clocking them so that they know. So everybody knows. I think I might have almost said he is obviously the big bad guy.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, no point in being subtle in New York, right? No point in being subtle in New York.
Sure.
Things should be obvious. So now, I'm trying to think of where we are because in 3 weeks we're going to be in beautiful Ypsilanti, Michigan.
That's right.
For Chaosium Con. And I think I'm going to have 1 session before that.
Nice.
You're going to have 2 sessions.
Yeah.
So are you going to catch up and then put toes in England?
I would say, again, remember, we only play for a couple hours because of the time situation going on. So I don't know. I'm hoping to be finished with New York in those 2 sessions. I'm hoping.
I think you could pull that off. I would think you could pull it off. And you've actually got a small enough group that the whole group could creepy crawl the Juju house and sneak in, go into the basement, have some kind of thing there with the,
Yeah, but I mean, again, those zombies are no joke that are down there. That could be a dicey sort of a deal if they don't play their cards right.
You have to hit their head.
You have to hit their head.
Yeah, and one of my players had a D12 with hit locations on
Oh,
it,
nice.
much like the Rune Quest
Yeah,
D12 that I think that we sell through the shop.
Nice plug there. So
Wait a minute. I got a little notification that the Zoom is running out of time.
uh-oh.
And what was interesting is even though they realized that they had to hit the head,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, well, how do I aim at the head? And I said, well, you include a penalty die. They didn't want to do it. They didn't want to do it. They would rather have burned the whole building down
Nice.
than add a penalty die to their roll.
Yeah, my guys won't have a problem with that, I think. They'll just go, yeah, sure, why not?
Sure, why not? Sure, why not? It's the only way to defeat them. Folks, we're going to apologize right here because we haven't really had time to dip into the mailbag. So we don't know how many of your players you're holding hostage to like and subscribe to the show. Right. We don't know if that's a thing. It could be arms deep in hate mail, Bob.
Possibly. Probably.
Yeah. I don't know if that would surprise me.
No, it's too much.
Who are these two weird old white guys I could be crocheting?
That's I've heard that a lot. I've heard that a lot from our subscribers, right? Who I did meet one of our subscribers at GaryCon. I saw him hit the button. Maybe he later hit it again to unsubscribe, but that's okay.
Well, immediately as you turned away, it's like, oh, I got to undo this.
Yes.
I don't want anybody collecting this information.
Right.
Well, Bob, it's very exciting. I have no idea how deep we are, folks. So I think maybe we'll land it here. So we'll do next week. We'll have an update as I finish reading the London chapter and prep for my first session of London, and you will be able to tell us where you are after the street encounter.
Yeah, for sure.
And going into the Juju house. I wish you all the luck in your game, Bob.
Right on. All right, friends. And Jerry, this is for you. Smash that subscribe button.
That's right, Jerry. Hit that like and subscribe. All right, folks. Until next time.